We all have that player that's memorized every monster stat available for the game. I know you do. We all do. So there may be no greater asset a GM or judge can have at their disposal to reinvigorate that sense of wonder at the table than a bestiary that can be pulled from the shelf to deliver that next challenge that the characters will face. Dungeon Denizens from Goodman Games is the latest monster sourcebook to add to your collection, which offers over 500 new creatures, unique monsters for both your 5e and DCCRPG games. This project is launching on Kickstarter on February 21st, so be sure to check out the link in this video description so you can follow the campaign and get notifications when that campaign goes live. So, what is Dungeon Denizens? Dungeon Denizens is a new massive resource book that will deliver over 500 unique monsters to your 5e or DCCRPG game. I'm going to walk you through the Kickstarter page so you can get a sneak peek before this project goes live, February 21st, and help you decide which pledge might be right for you. As this is a preview, the Kickstarter page is not 100% locked in yet, so there are still some details that are being added or updated. 500 monsters, one massive tome. Let's take a look. Let's break that down and take a look by creature type, what all is included. An assortment of aberrations, over 30 aberrations, including the Abelar, the Nagalisk, and the Pool Lurker. You will find contained within a crowd of constructs, over 50 new constructs, including new golems and animated objects, such as the Flawless Effigy and the Bronze Reaper. It contains a horde of humanoids, over 40 new humanoid creatures, which include the degenerate Sahel and the carapace-clad Clacklin, a multitude of monstrosities, over 80 new monstrosities to populate your campaigns with, including the Conflagration Worm and the Trollhound, a frenzy of fiends, over 30 new demonic monsters such as the Fetch Demon and the Inferno Cat, as well as demon lords like Malatok and Boboog Blug. I can't pronounce that. Nobody can pronounce that. A barrage of beasts. Your druids and rangers will love to have a variety of new options available for their companions and wild shape options. Over 30 new plant-like creatures such as the Dragoncar and the Grove King Hellthorn. Dungeon Denizens has fully developed foes of every challenge rating from 0 to 30, and each comes with brand new full-color art. Never be at a loss for how to describe these monsters. Sometimes a picture does speak 1,000 words and gives the players an instant understanding of what they see lurking down that dungeon corridor as initiative gets rolled. Many of the creatures within Dungeon Denizens contain variations of those creatures, champions, leaders, for those occasions when your players ask which one looks the biggest or which one looks like the one in charge. You can throw one of these variant leader types in from the monsters in the book to add some variety to the creature pool in an encounter. As a resource book, Dungeon Denizens will have plenty of tables and reference materials to help you with game prep by allowing you to quickly review creatures based on challenge rating, terrain type, and creature type. Perfect for those times when you are doing game prep and wanting to select creatures that are thematic to the setting you are populating, or when your tier 3 characters have just had it too easy for too long and you need to quickly look up some of the monsters that will be able to give them an appropriate challenge. Dungeon Denizens promises to be much more than simply a monster book, as many of the creatures include entries helpful to the GM, such as suggested encounter scenarios, suggested treasure hoards, new magic items, and spells related to the specified creatures contained within. These resources are meant to help the GM who is needing maybe a little bit of extra inspiration or needs to pull encounter ideas for their next session in a hurry. Dungeon Denizens comes in 2 flavors, both a 5e version and a DCC RPG version. Same creatures and content in both, just statted for the particular game system. Dungeon Denizens is, again, a full-color book that will be available both in PDF and physical copy, as well as have support for virtual tabletops with creature tokens available. If you're interested in this project but hesitant about backing Kickstarters, here is a really good reason to rethink that. Kickstarter backers will have the option of choosing a limited edition faux reptile skin cover, which is a one-of-a-kind item. Goodman Games has worked with a printer to create a cover made from a material called Pythor that gives it that dragon skin reptilian feel. This is not going to be available in any retail version that comes after the Kickstarter. So the only way to get this feature is through backing the Kickstarter. Not only that, but backers get a bonus monster available only in the Kickstarter editions of the book. And not only that, if you pledge within the first 48 hours of the Kickstarter campaign, you're going to get a second bonus monster only available to backers. All this to say, you definitely don't want to miss out on these perks if you're interested in this project, as backing the Kickstarter is the only way to get them. So let's take a look at a few of the extras that you can add onto your pledge. With this campaign, Goodman Games is also creating a book of dungeon delves, 2-page dungeon delves, which are short encounters, in some cases even mini dungeons of 5 rooms or less that serve as layers for many of the monsters that are featured in Dungeon Denizens. This is an excellent resource for the GM or judge who just needs those bite-sized adventure locations that can easily be dropped in or modified into a campaign, and they each serve to introduce one or more of the very unique monsters that you'll find in Dungeon Denizens. Each of these dungeon delves is 2 pages in length and will include a 1/4-page art illustration depicting an interesting scene of the creature layering within. Also available are GM Judges screens, available both for 5e and Dungeon Crawl Classics. Now this is really exciting. Cardstock pawns. 500 cardstock pawns. Yes, 500. Each one die-cut, durable cardstock that each have that unique artwork. You know, like I said earlier, each one of the creatures for Dungeon Denizens has its own original art that helps to communicate what that creature looks like to your players. And so one of the add-on items that you have here is 500 pawns that can be used that bring those creatures to life and represent them on your battle grid. Of course, you can never have too many dice. We've got dungeon dice, perfect. Stone gray color for your dungeon encounters. They come in the variation that includes all of the polyhedrons that you need for DCC. So you've got your D5, your D7, D14s, D16s, D24s, and D30s included in the mix. All 14 dice needed for DCC. You can get the Dungeon Denizens official t-shirt, kind of a classic punk rock feel to that. Gotta love the comment there. You don't have to be a misfit to wear this tee. So that is one of the add-on items that you can get. Scrolling down, I did mention VTT support. All 500 of the creatures in Dungeon Denizens is going to be available to have its own token that you can use in Roll20, Foundry VTT, Fantasy Grounds, you name it, whatever you're using. You're going to have that available to you as well. Of course, we've got dust jackets with art from San Julian, Errol Otis, and David Griffith. It's hard to decide, but you don't have to. Add on a dust jacket featuring the Virgin book art of your choice. Let's just take a moment here to review the pledge levels for the Kickstarter. Your pledge of $30 gets you either your choice of the 5e version of Dungeon Denizens or the DCCRPG version of Dungeon Denizens. Great way to support the project on a budget and get access to all of the monsters available to the Kickstarter. Scrolling down, at $59, you can get the 5e Dungeon Denizens hardcover and PDF, or for $49, the DCCRPG Dungeon Denizens hardcover. I'm going to guess that the reason for the difference on price between the two is likely due to a page count difference between 5e and DCC. Yes, the 5e version of a monster stat block is going to be just a little bit wordier than the DCC equivalent, and so takes up a little bit more real estate on a page than the DCC RPG counterparts. So you'll see that sort of $10 difference throughout the different pledges here. Scrolling down, at $74, you can get the limited edition version of Dungeon Denizens with that faux reptile skin cover plus the PDF. For $64, you can get the DCC RPG equivalent. Again, you won't be able to get this in retailers after the Kickstarter is closed. At $189, you will get the 5e hardcover plus all the printed materials, including the book of 2-page dungeon delves, the GM screen, and the cardstock tokens plus the PDF of the book $179 gets you the DCC RPG equivalent of all of this printed materials. For $199, you will be able to get the limited edition 5e cover plus all the printed materials plus the PDF. At $189, you will get the DCC RPG equivalent. For $279, you will get the 5e version and all of the add-ins. That includes the limited edition cover, the 2-page dungeon delves, the GM screen, the cardstock monster pawns, the VTT tokens, the stone grade dice set, and that punk rock Denizens t-shirt, plus a PDF of the book. DCC equivalent is $269. And if you're like me, and you run both 5e and DCCRPG games, this next level of support is for you. The Motherload, $499, gets you everything from both the 5e and DCCRPG sides. Both limited edition covers, all printed add-ons, the dice, the VTT tokens, the t-shirt, and the free PDFs. There will also be a retailer pledge upon the launch of the Kickstarter. More information on this will be coming soon. One of the very cool elements about this Kickstarter is the opportunity for backer-designed monsters included in the final product. Goodman Games is reserving up to 20 monster slots in Dungeon Denizens for design by backers. So if you pledge at least $30 during the Kickstarter campaign, you will have the opportunity to be eligible to submit one monster of your design that may get included in the final product. The more backers the project has, the more of these available slots are going to be available. And so you can see here, they've got a chart of what is available. So it starts out, if the project gets 500 backers, that'll open up 2 backer-designed monster slots. 750 backers, 4 open up. At 1,006, and so on, all the way up to 3,500 backers. That will open up that maximum amount of slots and get 20 original community-created monsters added into the book. With a greater number of slots available, this means a better chance of a monster design of your making could be included in the final product. So tell your friends, share the Kickstarter so we can get as many of these community-created creatures as possible. Full details on the submission process will be provided after the project ends. And of course, we'd be remiss if we didn't talk about the stretch goals, and given that it's a monster book, it's pretty easy to figure out what these stretch goals are going to be. And so, at different levels of support, as more money is raised, more monsters are going to get unlocked. So starting out at $50,000 raised, we will get the iBird. At $75,000, we will get the Octopus. At $100,000, the Ocular Worm, and at $125,000, the Serpent Fury. And as you can see, we don't even have art for some of the things that are coming down the road, but there's a whole menu of different monsters that we could have unlocked with the success of the campaign. If you're wanting to follow along, hear more about the Dungeon Denizens Kickstarter, probably one of the best ways to do that is to stay tuned with all the different Twitch shows that Goodman Games is going to be doing on their official Twitch channel at twitch.tv/GoodmanGamesOfficial. There are a number of programs already on the books starting on Wednesday, February 23rd at 2 p.m. Eastern. There's going to be a Meet the Team show where you're going to be able to meet all the folks behind the project and hear about the long journey to getting to this moment, launching the Kickstarter, and finally seeing this project come to fruition. There's also going to be a number of Twitch shows throughout the Kickstarter campaign related to talking to some of the freelance writers like myself, pulling us on to talk about sort of the inspiration behind some of the monsters, talking about what it was like to work on the project, learning a little bit more about what goes on behind the scenes and creating some of these things. And there's even going to be some shows related to taking a look and seeing these monsters in action, playing out their mechanics, seeing them in gameplay scenarios, and seeing how they work in their natural habitat. So stay tuned to all of that. Best thing you can do is follow the Goodman Games Twitch channel and keep an eye on the website for when the schedule gets updated. In addition to the Twitch shows you see listed here, you'll also be able to catch a couple of Dungeon Denizen related shows over on my Twitch channel, 20 Sides to Every Story, where we will be walking you through a few of the 2-page dungeon delves that I had mentioned earlier. I'm going to be doing some live playtesting of 2 of the 2-page layer encounters that I have written up for my Portal Worm creature and my Undead Giant, the Slag Coat, both of which are going to be included in Dungeon Denizens. You can catch those shows. There are going to be 2. The first one is going to be on March 3rd, starting at 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central. That one is going to be a 5e playtest featuring the Slag Coat. And the other is going to be on March 10th at 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central, and that one is going to be a DCCRPG playtest where we will take a look at the layer that I wrote up for my Portal Worm creature, a giant monstrosity that, when it swallows you up, will deposit you in a demi-plane attuned to the creature. So both of these streams specifically will be taking place over again on twitch.tv/20 sides to every story. Just want to say thank you so much for checking out this video and walking through the Dungeon Denizens Kickstarter with me. Again, this project launches on February 21st, so the best thing that you can do is go over to Kickstarter and take a look at the Dungeon Denizens page. It's not open yet, but you can sign up to get a reminder for when the project goes live. Thanks again for watching. Until next time.